So, it has been announced by Steve Boots himself, also known as Boots on the Ground, that he is stepping away from content creation permanently. He's decided, I guess, that he is going to go back to teaching. He is incredibly burnt out. He realizes that it's, too time consuming, which I find strange for him to be saying, because didn't he stop teaching because he got burnt out? It's almost like he just doesn't know how to do the whole work-life balance thing. But content creation is tough, right? Like there's a lot of you know, hustle culture and you're just constantly go 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 go. Like it is really hard sometimes to balance between the two, right? Um, but like I said, I just found it strange that he's like went to content creation because he was burnt out from teaching, and then I was going back to teaching because he's burnt out from content creation. Um, so Steve Boots is definitely a well-known name in Canadian political content and has proven that you can make it your only thing that you talk about and still gain a decent following from it. And yeah, I watched quite a few of his videos, especially in the beginning. I would say that people like him, Philip DeFranco, and even Frank Dominic are probably one of the reasons that I started doing political commentary on TikTok. Um, so it is sad to see him go, and I've seen a lot of people, sending him messages of well wishes, and I hope, he whatever he decides to do, whatever, going back to teaching stuff like that he's happy and that he's able to, find that work-life balance again in his life. But what I will say, while I enjoyed a fair amount of his videos and he was very informative, I think that we should know that, especially considering the last couple of months and what we've gone through in Canadian political TikTok, is that nobody is friggin' perfect in this industry, and we should not put anybody up on a pedestal. Because, see, I actually stopped watching a fair amount of his content, like basically got to the point that unless I couldn't find anybody else talking about something, or somebody hadn't made videos about it yet, it would be the only time that I would go watch his videos. Because the problem I had with Steve Boots is that there was a couple times that I actually went into his Twitch stream and I watched and I was seeing the comments and stuff. And anytime somebody disagreed with him, and I'm not talking about the trolls, okay, the people that are purposely saying horrific things, spreading misinformation, all that. I'm talking about an honest, like, question of what he is saying, an honest debate, something that I would sit there and go, well, yeah, that is a valid question, or that is like a valid correction of what he's saying. Oh my God, did he not handle it well? Steve Boots was not good at taking criticism, to the point that he would attack people in his comment section, or his like chat section. He would block people. He would send his followers, or his followers would go after him. Like, it was a very toxic environment if you happen to ever question the great and powerful Steve Boots. And what I think solidified for me, finally deciding that I just didn't really like this guy and trust him, was when one of my fellow Schmex workers let me know that Steve Boots had a tendency to talk about Schmex work, sometimes positive, but only when it worked for him, only when it served his purpose. And there were times where he was basically throwing us under the bus, that he would not understand what we were working towards and such. Now, I don't have any examples, and I even tried to look for them, and the person that informed me of this is actually going through a health crisis, mental health crisis right now, and I'm not going to bother them for proof or an example or anything like that. But I will tell you that when somebody in my industry tells me that somebody is not a supporter of Schmex workers, and has said horrible things about us in the past, I don't need evidence. I'm just going to 100% believe them. So, but I've seen enough evidence of how he reacts when people disagree with him, enough to know that, as sad as I am to see his content go, he's just one other man on the internet with a microphone. He's just another man on the internet with a microphone, and the world will continue on. Like I said, I wish him the best. I hope he's happy in his future endeavors. I don't wish the man any ill will. But I just wanted to have my say and say, like, I personally found him to be toxic when it came to disagreements. Um, and the thing is that when you're in the political space, there are going to be people that disagree with you, and you can't just immediately throw up blocks. You can't immediately, freak out because somebody doesn't disagree with you. You have to have an open mind. I always believe that leftists tend to be more leftists because we're open-minded, because we're willing to learn and change and see other people's viewpoints and such. And I'm not talking about bigoted viewpoints, okay? There are some, we could disagree about pineapple on pizza, but we can't disagree about basic human rights. But to me, yeah, like he showed his ass way too many times for me to be like, oh, he's leaving. No. So yeah, and you know what? You can be like all bitchy and stuff at me and think, oh, was this really necessary? Yeah, it was really necessary. Because, like I said, in the last couple of months, I think it's important that people understand who people really are. So most of what was seen was just like you'd watch his clips, right? But if you really paid attention, if you were in those streams, you got to see who that person really was.